Morning, friends. Hope you're doing well. We're starting today on our pre-sprouting of ranunculus corms. It's that time of year again. It is late October, mid to late October, and it's time to get the ranunculus corms pre-sprouted. So I have a whole bunch of them here, and I'll show you what they look like before you soak them. We'll go through all the steps, and you'll get to see what they look like after they soak, and then we'll put them in the trays and get them set up to sprout. So this sprouting process is going to take between 7 and 10 days, and I'm going out of town this weekend for about 4 days, and so I wanted to make sure that I timed it appropriately so that when I get back, they're pretty much ready to go in the ground, because we are almost ready to plant out at the new farm site. All the deer fencing material arrives today. That's going to be interesting because supposedly it's coming on a giant pallet, and basically it's just me to unload that pallet. So I don't know how that's going to work. I don't have a forklift. Should be an interesting project. I think I'm going to have to basically disassemble the pallet on the truck, put everything in off the side of the road next to the plot, and then hope that nobody steals it while we're gone, because it's going to take, I would guesstimate that project's going to take a week or so, because it's a lot. 500 feet of fencing is a lot of fencing to get in. So in the meantime, I'm going to set up just a temporary, with T-posts and the netting that I already have, temporary fencing system around the beds that are closest to the shed. Those have been layered with compost and all of our amendments, including blood meal and bone meal and kelp meal. So they're set. Also, all of my tools for setting up the irrigation have arrived, and so we'll be doing that as well. I'm very excited because we ran our 1,000-foot plus length of hose from the standpipe. The pressure at the standpipe was 50 psi, which is really strong. You only need about 10 to run a drip system. So we had no idea what the pressure was going to be like down at the plot after 1,000 feet of run, but it was 40 psi down there. So we have plenty of pressure to work with. In fact, too much pressure. So shockingly, I'm going to do the normal thing and install a pressure regulator, a filter, and of course a timer up at the hose bib, and we'll be all set up and good to go. I'll show that whole process so you can see how I set that stuff up. But I'm hoping that in the next day or two, actually I think I could do all of that, because the box that I ordered with all the additional supplies I needed has just arrived, so I might be able to do everything. But then we'll get the drip tape laid out on those beds and test the irrigation, make sure everything's good. Then we'll be able to plant. And I have today, which is Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, to do as much as possible and maybe get planted, and hope that the irrigation continues to work while we're gone. All of this makes me very anxious. I am actually less concerned about deer eating everything, because I will set up a temporary fence still with the 8-foot tall netting, but just around the little area that we're going to plant, so we can slowly work on putting up the entire deer fence, which is going to take a lot longer. But I'm because of all the problems I've had with the rodents lately, I am anxious about that. So I have lots and lots of traps, and I have the bucket traps as well. I have put down mole deterrent. We'll put down rat and mouse deterrent as well, and basically pepper that area to try to keep everything safe. I'm really anxious. I'm so nervous, because if they eat all these seedlings, then that's it. And I won't be able to plant until early spring. And, that's always a crapshoot, because you never know how the weather's going to be. So yeah, lots of balls in the air, lots of things juggling, but I'm hoping to get some stuff done before I go away this weekend, because even though I'm excited to go away this weekend, we're flying back east to spend the weekend with my sister to surprise her for her 50th birthday. And the reason I'm saying it here is that she doesn't watch my YouTube channel as far as I know, so I think we're safe. But really looking forward to seeing her. It's been a year since I've seen her, and I'm going to get to see my niece and my nephew as well. Michael's coming with me. But it's a tough time of year to go, because everything is in flux right now. So, all right, On to ranunculus, which is what we're really focusing on in this, this video. So the supplies I need are a bucket. I'm using these Tidy Cats buckets that I use for everything. Full, 3/4 of the way full of water. I have my corms. So I have whole variety here. I'll show you what they are. This one is Ranunculus tecolote salmon. I have Ranunculus tecolote gold. I have Ranunculus amandine pastel mix. Ranunculus romance maritime. Tecolote sunset. Tecolote cafe. Tecolote pink, and then I have a huge box that's under the camera right now of all of the corms that I collected from this season's field. So that will be a mix of the clone iceberg, white, really dense ranunculus. They're kind of like peony, they're super dense, and a mix, a tecolote mix. So we have lots and lots and lots of ranunculus. To start, I have 750 corms just in these bags, and then we probably have close to 1,000 in the box. So lots to start. Let me show you what they look like. So they are called corms, not bulbs or anything like that. And when they are dried, they look like this. They look like little octopuses, and you can see this is the stem end where the plant grew and the flowers came out, and these are the ends where the roots came out. Now they're all dried and desiccated right now. So what we're gonna do is soak them in a bucket with a fish bubbler going to keep the water circulating for about 3 hours until they are plump. And they'll be so much bigger than what I just showed you. So I'll leave one out so you can see the comparison of before and after. But the fish bubbler is pretty important. You can also put your bowl or whatever into a sink with slowly dribbling water. You just want to keep the water moving because you're trying to plump these up, but you don't want them to clump up and keep all the dirt in there and then kind of mold. So it's really important to keep the water moving, keep everything aerated. So I would like to be using 2 buckets right now, but I only have 1 fish bubbler, so I'm gonna go on and get this thing set up. If you're only doing a single variety or whatever, you can just put it into a bowl in the kitchen sink with a little bit of water running. But because I have many varieties and I want to keep them separate and label them in the field, I've got a bunch of these bags that are from tulips that I've gotten over the years and narcissus and stuff. So basically I'm going to dump one of these bags. This one is the tecolote. Actually, let me grab the one that amandine pastel. Yeah. Amandine pastel mix. So I'm going to dump these guys into this bag. This will allow me to rinse a number of them all at once and get them going, but keeping them separated by variety. So they're all in here. I'm going to close this up and I'm going to label the bag. I have some tape here with the name on it. I'll put this tag on the outside. There we go. So, amandine pastel mix. So I'll put more varieties in other bags. And then we have our bucket here full of water. I have a second one here because I'm going to get that set up for when I'm ready to switch over. So you can see the bucket. We're going to put the fish bubbler down in there at the bottom so that it creates lots of bubbles for us. There we go. Bubbles moving up through the bags. And then we just submerge these bags. All right. So there's the first one. And again, 3 to 4 hours, but usually for me, 2.5 to 3 is plenty. So I'm going to go on and fill up these other bags and see how many we can fit in here. I don't want to overcrowd the bucket. I can always do another round. Okay, so the corms have been soaking for about 3 hours. I have the bag here for tecolote sunset. I'm going to take that tag off. And I want to show you the difference now between what they look like when they're all shriveled, which is this guy here, right? That's like that's before you soak them to now, this is what this looks like soaked. You can see it's all very plump. There's the stem portion. All of the little legs are plump. So now I just have a basic tray here. This is a 1020 tray. I've got my my corms, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump them into the tray here. Let me get them all out of the bag. I have to reach in for some of these guys. There we go. Whoops, one more. Okay, so now we just kind of set them upright so they're, you know, this is the top of the plant. The roots are going to come out the bottom. This is not ultra crucial because basically they will still send out roots the way they're supposed to and start putting on top growth as they're supposed to, even if they're upside down. But I think it is better for them to start out the right way. And yes, they do kind of look like spiders or octopus. So it can be, it can seem a little creepy at first till you're used to dealing with them. So now they're all nice and moist. This potting soil is not bone dry, but it's also not wet. If these guys stay wet, they're gonna rot. So you want them to get them, keep them damp or slightly moist, but not wet. So we're turning these guys mostly upside down. It doesn't matter that if they're crowded in here because they're going to only stay in here for a short time till they produce some roots and start putting on some, you'll start seeing some green sprouts at the top. You don't have to do this step. You can plant them directly in the ground, even if you don't soak them. However, I like this process because I can then be guaranteed that the corm is viable. So especially if you're saving corms, like if you're buying them from a supplier, chances are they're all going to be viable. But you know, like all the ones that I saved from last year, you know, maybe a few of them, you know, aren't viable. They're not going to produce anything. They're not going to grow roots or produce green growth on top and to make a plant. So the only way you can really know that is if you do this pre-sprouting process, because then you can avoid planting things that aren't actually going to grow. All right, so now we've got our stuff spread out, and this is all one variety. I'm just going to put a little bit more soil on top just to cover them. And then these are going to go into a cool area, dark area. I like to keep them in my laundry room. But if you are in a colder part of the country and you have a cool garage or something like that right now, we're going to get another heat wave this week. So my garage is going to be too warm. So I've got them kind of covered, and I've got a tag. There we go. So these are going to go into my laundry room in the dark, in the cool. And the reason they're going there is that keeps them away from rodents or anything that might want to dig them up and try to eat them. And then they sit in there for 7 to 10 days until they start sprouting some green on top. And you can always pick one out and look and see, you'll see the roots coming out to the bottom. And I'll show you what that looks like after they sprout. Okay, my hand is shaking. I'm sorry, that means the camera's shaking. I just unloaded by myself because I couldn't get any help. And the drivers are not supposed to unload. About 700 pounds worth of deer fence stuff. But it's all here. Sorry, I really apologize for the shaking. I'm gonna try the other hand. That's a little bit better. I also have brought out the T-posts. I'll show you where those are gonna go. Again, I apologize for the shaking hand. But I've got T-posts. I'm just going to fence in temporarily this section of 5 beds with, you know, I'll start with that netting, but I have 500 yards of it, 500 feet of it over here. So these are the parts These boxes were the heaviest. Each one of those boxes, I don't know, based on weightlifting. I mean, they're full of metal. So these 3 boxes here felt to me like they were about 60 pounds a piece. I put them in the gorilla cart and hauled them up here, but it was a struggle because this hill is actually a lot steeper than it looks like on camera. So it was like one step at a time. I was able to get this package of poles up, and then I gave up. Each of these packages of poles weighs about 40 pounds. So I was doing it over the shoulder. The rest of them are down there. I can use help to get them up next time we all come out to work, which unfortunately won't be anytime soon. So tomorrow I'm going to come out, rig up the deer fence, the temporary deer fence. That's all the irrigation stuff. I'll go on and install the drip tape on all of these beds, and hopefully on Thursday I can plant. Thought I would sit in the air conditioning and try to finish up this video. Plus I thought I'd prop the phone up on the steering wheel because my hands are shaking too bad, just from the work. It's a lot of work moving that kind of weight, because it's still 84 degrees outside, even though it's the sun is setting, and we're going to be in the 90s the next couple days. So tomorrow I'd like to get out here early as possible to get this done. And you know, the thing that really stinks is Thursday's gonna be the hottest day. That is not the day to be transplanting. I think I will set up the temporary deer fence tomorrow, put in all the irrigation, test it, make sure everything's getting enough, you know, water pressure and it all looks good. And then it'll be ready for planting when I get back. The other good thing about that is, because these beds are raked, I can rake them super flat, make sure they look really, really tidy. And then when we come back, if there's footprints across those beds, then I'll know either deer have jumped the fence or something else has gotten in. So it'll be a good test, and it's probably good to watch it before I put everything in the ground. So I think I'll be less anxious. And then when I get back, the ranunculus will probably be close to getting ready to go in, and the tulips will be here. They will be arriving the day we get back, even though we get back late at night. And so I can go on and plant those up next week as well in all the crates, keeping them inside the temporary deer fence as well. And we'll get the seedlings in the ground and stuff, and then I can be here to monitor them. So, okay, that was quite a rant, and this video was all over the place today. So for the ranunculus, stay tuned to a future video, and I will show you what they look like once they've pre-sprouted. And then probably what I'll do is I'll put together all of those clips into a single, this is how you pre-sprout ranunculus, and maybe then in the springtime do a wrap-up of, like, you know, this is how you pinch, this is all. So maybe I'll put together just a whole video of ranunculus from corm to harvest, and that'll come out obviously next year, but I can use clips from this that we just did today. So all right, thanks for hanging out with me, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.